Well, Nigeria has a very resourceful waters and one that covers a large expanse. The size of these waters has posed great security threats to the country's efforts to make the best of its waterways. In the presence of onshore militants and many other security challenges, the Nigerian government has increased its focus on its troubled waters. On Village Square, Africa Today, is maritime security in Nigeria. Welcome, I'm Sulaiman. The Gulf of Guinea with 17 African countries, yes, you got that right, 17, is one of the most resourceful regions in the world. Nigeria plays an important role in the region in the areas of leadership and security. For many years now, Niger Delta militancy has led to an increase in security upheavals in the region. Armed robbery at shore increased in 2020, and kidnapping cases were also the highest in the world. The Gulf of Guinea is home to 60% of Africa's oil production and has 4.5% of the world's total oil reserve. It also houses 2.7% of the natural gas reserves, and these explain why it's an area of interest. Illegal or unregulated fishing is also common in the Nigerian maritime, with the Gulf of Guinea holding 4% of the world's fishes. Estimates also reveal that Nigeria loses at least 120,000 barrels of oil daily to maritime insecurity. It has also become a route for transnational drug trafficking controlled in Europe. Making the most of these vast resources became a problem in the face of insecurity, and Nigeria, the center of the region, has been losing billions to a variety of factors. And that is why we're looking at that today. Joining me on VSA, Dr. Dakuku Peterside, former Director General, Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, joins me now. And pretty much later on the show, I'll be joined by Dr. Ignatus Uche, who is a Senior Manager Security Nigeria Ports Authority. Dr. Dakuku Peterside, welcome to VSA.
Thank you very much, Suleiman. Good evening, viewers.
I'm excited you're here, and one of the key things is even though you are no longer the Director General of NIMASA, you still, still in the thick of things of maritime security. And by the way, you also have a book. We'll talk about that, and because your book is also on what we're discussing today. But looking at what we're having, let's start by, expanding or stretching when we talk about Gulf of Guinea. 17 countries. One wonders how Nigeria is coping, if Nigeria is getting cooperation from other countries to ensuring that belt is adequately secure. Let's start talking about the Gulf of Guinea. During your time and in your studies of that region, what readily comes to mind?
Well, thank you very much. The Gulf of Guinea stretches from Angola to Mali, Guinea, to the uppermost parts of West Africa. And when you talk about the Gulf of Guinea, a number of things come to mind. The fact that it is a strategic shipping lane when you talk about maritime activities. Now, two, is the fact that it is also strategic in terms of the energy balance of the world.
Of the world? Of
the world. If anything goes wrong in the Gulf of Guinea, then the energy equation of the world is threatened. That's another important thing. Now, if you talk about the fish stock, the Gulf of Guinea also is important. Now we have fish species that are unique to the Gulf of Guinea region that cannot be found in any other part of the world. Now, the Gulf of Guinea is not only a strategic shipping lane, it's a connection between Europe and the Americas. It is the shortest route between Europe and the Americas. Africa is a connection. It's a midpoint between Europe on one side and the Americas on the other side, South and North America. So in every dimension, the Gulf of Guinea is strategic. It's a place of interest. And at the epicenter of the Gulf of Guinea is Nigeria. I can't explain how nature made it that way. And if you look at the map of the Gulf of Guinea, Nigeria is at the center, is equidistant between the tipmost of the central part of the Gulf of Guinea and the west part of Gulf of Guinea. So Nigeria too, apart from the Gulf of Guinea being strategic, Nigeria is strategic even in the Gulf of Guinea. Aside from the fact that we're the biggest market there, we've got the highest population, we have the highest reserve of oil, we have the highest reserve of gas, then we have 60% of the goods headed for the Gulf of Guinea or that region would likely end up in Nigeria.
Now, again, I think this now explains why the security is of utmost concern there. So let's start looking at the current security situation, of Nigeria's maritime. I mean, specifically maritime security. What's the situation at the moment?
No, well, at the moment, we've recorded a lot of progress, remarkable progress at that. And I'll just give 2-3 indicators. Indicator number one, if you look at the records of incidences of piracy and you try to compare it from 2018 to 2021, you will notice a drastic drop in 2021. And in 2018, in the first quarter of 2018, we had 35 incidents, recorded incidents. In 2019, of course, we had about 31 recorded incidents. In 2020, we had 34 recorded incidents. But in the first quarter of 2021, we had only 20 recorded incidents. Now, if you go to the second quarter, in this second quarter of 2018, we had 16 recorded incidents. In 2019, we had 28 recorded incidents, 27 in 2020, and in 2021, we had 0 recorded incidents. That's a lot of progress. Now, first quarter, 20 recorded incidents. Second quarter, 0 recorded incidents. Now, the verdict for the third quarter is not out yet, even though we're there. So, if you look at that pattern, you will see, and you will agree with me, that there's been a drastic drop in number of incidences, pirate incidences. Now, on the issue of maritime crime, whenever you're talking about maritime crime and piracy, look at it from 3 dimensions. One, deep offshore, the incidents that occur deep offshore, incidents that occur within the coastal waters, 400 nautical miles, 200 to 400 nautical miles outside our shores, and the incidents that occur within the inland waters, or what they call the creeks of the Niger Delta. Now, if you also look at that as an indicator of what's going on in the region, you also see a drop. Now, in terms of maritime crime, in the last 2 quarters of this year, or the first 2 quarters rather, the first 2 quarters of this year, it has dropped. The incidences have dropped to all-time low. The question to ask is, what is responsible for this drastic drop of incidents?
So there must be something happening, because now at the moment we're in July of 2021, and there's not been a single incident recorded. So there must be something that has been happening.
Oh, for me, I think 3 things. 3 things must be going on. The first is that these criminals must have realized that Nigeria now has strong presence in terms of patrol. Of course, you know that recently NIMASA acquired assets under the Deep Blue project, and these assets have been deployed to our waters. Whether it's by perception or in reality, there is a perception that, look, now there's presence. Now, the Nigerian Navy has also embarked on a number of operations, so there's presence. So the presence scares them away. That's the first. Now, the second is that they're beginning to see that the government, through her agencies, whether it's the Navy, whether it's NIMASA, whether it's other security agencies, are becoming proactive. You are aware that sometime in March this year, a number of criminals were convicted. 3 criminals were convicted. They are not only convicted in Nigeria, in nearby Togo here, in neighboring Togo, about 10 to 15 pirates were also convicted. Now in Ghana, they are about passing a law, a stand-alone anti-piracy law. So within the region, governments are becoming more proactive. Then the shipping community are also more forthcoming, willing to cooperate and collaborate with local authorities to stem the rise of piracy. So that's the second one. The first one is presence. The second is the fact that now people now get punished for getting involved in maritime crime. Now the third is that now they now realize that government is investing more on intelligence. Lately, there's been studies that identify various groups, and government has tried to reach out to these groups to say, we are aware that you exist, this is how you operate, this is your camp, this is what goes on. So government has invested a lot of time in intelligence. Now, NIMASA has what is called the C4I. The C4I now has a bird's eye view of the region and whatever goes on our waterways. So these are some of the proactive steps being taken by government and government agencies.
You know, it's quite instructive to know that intelligence has been increased, especially by governments and that of Nigeria, to the extent that they can also reach out to these troublemakers and these criminals and say, look, we got our eyes on you, you better back off. But that's something you mentioned, that's the Deep Blue project, which you mentioned in your conversation. That has been launched, and perhaps tell us more on what this is about, if it's helping, you know, because lately Nigeria, you know, has also been in the news concerning, you know, being a major destination point for pirates or maritime crime. But is the Deep Blue project a part of what can help the government or the country, you know, recover some of the losses being, you know, experienced through the activities of these criminals?
Now, the Deep Blue project is the latest maritime security architecture developed by Nigeria to respond to the spike or rise in cases of piracy and maritime crime. It's got four major components. The first one is the issue of surveillance. The second one is helping the security agencies build response capability, the ability to respond whenever there is an incident of crime or whenever there is suspicion of crime, and including the fact of maintaining presence by way of patrol. Now, of course, the third element is to complement what they call the SPOMO Act, the Suppression of Piracy and Other Maritime Crime Act, you know, which was passed in 2019 under our watch as Chief Executive of NIMASA, as it were then. So the third aspect is not just response now to interdict and prosecute the criminals, you know, and that's the end. That's the other end of fighting piracy. And the final end of it is to train and retrain our maritime forces, you know, equip them to take charge of the waterways and ultimately to collaborate with other stakeholders in the country and within the region to tackle maritime crime. Very often, maritime crime does not necessarily take place in isolation of other actors within the region. So the Deep Blue project has four critical elements. And you can see that part of it is the acquisition of land assets, you know, armored vehicles to patrol the adjoining areas to the coastal areas, sea assets, acquisition of 17 fast intervention vessels, special mission vessels, and acquisition of air patrol vessels and air surveillance vessels, including the acquisition of maritime patrol aircraft and special mission helicopters. So NIMASA, under the funding of NIMASA, they acquired a number of those assets, and they deployed these assets to patrol the waterways, monitor the waterways, and ensure that they build the ability to respond, they build the capacity to respond whenever there is incident. And that's working. That is a contributory factor to why there is a sudden drop in incidences of maritime crime within our waterways. And so to that extent, you can see that we're beginning to achieve results. Now, the other thing, like I said the security architecture complements the act that was passed, the standalone legislation that was passed, what is called the Suppression of Piracy and Other Maritime Crime Act that was passed. Nigeria is the first to pass a standalone legislation to deal with the issue of piracy. I'm happy to say that Togo has since followed suit. Togo has passed its own act, and our neighbors in Ghana, they are about to pass their act too. And Ghana has also been proactive. They've also acquired a number of patrol assets. They're also collaborating with their Navy. They're doing a lot in Ghana too. Just like in Togo, I can tell you that recently, like I said earlier, a number of maritime criminals or pirates were interdicted, and they were successfully prosecuted and have been convicted. And in Cote d'Ivoire, they are doing a lot of things also to tackle the issue of illegal and unregulated fishing. So within the region, a lot is going on. People are being more proactive. People are collaborating. Now they are talking from a regional perspective and national perspective, and things are going on. And that's what's responsible for the drop you're seeing in all parts of the Gulf of Guinea region.
Well, no doubt. It would seem from your explanation that the Standalone Act, which Nigeria has actually passed, has a ripple effect across the region by what we're seeing in Togo, Ghana, and a couple of other places. But again, this also must also mean some kind of gains for the country. Is Nigeria making the most of the riches, around the Gulf of Guinea?
Oh yes, I like to respond in two dimensions. First is that within the country, there's been significant drop in stolen crude. That's benefits within the country. There's a significant drop in incidences of maritime crime and piracy, and that's good for our international reputation. Within the country, I cannot say, because the data is not there available, about whether there's a drop in illegal and unregulated fishing or not. But now at the regional level, a number of things are going on. One is that there's what they call the shared concept. It's actually a concept of sharing information within the actors, within the various countries of the Gulf of Guinea. Like I said earlier, maritime crime does not take place in isolation. So right now, Ghana is talking to Nigeria, Nigeria is talking to, now they've always had a common platform, what is called the Yaoundé Code of Conduct, but it wasn't really effective and efficient. But now with the shared concept, they're talking to the industry, talking to various governments, talking to all the actors from a common platform, from a common perspective. So Ghana knows what Nigeria is doing, Nigeria knows what Ghana is doing, Ghana knows what Cameroon is doing, Cameroon knows what Cote d'Ivoire is doing. So everybody in the region is talking to each other, they're sharing information, they're exchanging information. Now in the area of hot pursuit, so if today there's an incident in Nigeria and we are going after an MV Suleiman Alade, then Ghana will be ready for the hot pursuit. Cote d'Ivoire will be, Togo and everybody, they are all at alert, knowing that, listen, MV Suleiman Alade has been used to commit a crime, or suspected to be used to commit a crime, and so in that hot pursuit, they get cooperation and collaboration from other actors. So you're not safe. Even if you escape Nigerian waters, then you'll be caught in any other water, other part of the Gulf. And
before now, there wasn't such collaboration.
No, it's been there, but it's never been effective. In terms, it's not been optimized rather.
Because that has also caused, the ripple effect. We're still on the ripple effect. That has also affected business in the region, knowing full well that a lot of, shippers who go through that region, ultimately, because of the ultimate risk of security concern there, it has affected taxes, it has affected, transportation across that region. Now, the companies that operate on Nigeria's maritime space, now this is also coming into Nigeria, have complained about heavy taxes.
Insurance principally, yeah. Well, yes. Taxes were principally insurance.
So do you think that their worries are in order? What is the country doing to help in these businesses? Because the citizens ultimately will pay the price. Yeah,
the truth of the matter is that when you talk about calibration and fixing of insurance, it's not done on daily basis. It's done over a period. And decisions are made very often in London through the Lloyd's Club and other joint insurance platforms. Now that there's a significant drop in area of incidences, I believe that very soon the insurance clubs in London will sit down and review the situation, and they will now recalibrate and they will now remove the war risk clause for vessels passing through the Gulf of Guinea. I'm almost confident that that will be done. But for now, we still suffer some heavy taxes and insurance premium by reason of the fact that the chances, the probability that you're likely going to have an incident in the Gulf of Guinea region is high. But that's beginning to change with recent statistics or recent data that's available.
Let me come in here now, more like looking at some of your activities, your time at NIMASA. One of the biggest concerns is, Niger Delta militants, and many people have been wondering how you were able to, perhaps maybe handle that, whether you had an understanding with these militants who were operating, because at that point in time, Niger Delta militancy, which was a critical problem in the maritime sector, witnessed a reduction of such. So was there an interface between you and some of these militants, just the way you say Nigeria now has intelligence to always pinpoint and say, hey, look, we know what you're doing. So did you have that while you were there at NIMASA?
Well, if you ask me, I'll tell you a number of factors are responsible for the drop witnessed between 2016 and 2020 in the activities of militants and criminals in the Niger Delta region. One is the fact of empaneling the amnesty program. That contributed substantially, and I must acknowledge that it worked at the time. It may not have the best solution, but it worked. Now, the other one is the fact that the Navy was a bit more proactive and they established presence in the region. The activities were affecting the revenue of the country and by extension the economy of the country, the foreign exchange that the country could earn. And because there was global recession, and between that period there have been two incidences that led to global recession. One is that there was a crash generally globally in between 2008 and 2009. Yes. There was a crash. Now, what that meant is that the country was recovering from that global recession. Now, in addition to that, there was a further dip in price of oil. So if we're losing so much oil, then we couldn't even meet up our own obligations as a country. And so it wasn't in our best interest. So our navies were under pressure, or the Navy was under pressure to maintain presence on our waterways, both in inland waters and, of course, in our deep waters. That is also contributed. Now, from the NIMASA angle, I can tell you another thing. We renewed our 10-year MOU with the Nigerian Navy. We were able to give them platform to patrol. So we supported the activities of the Navy, and I must commend NPA at the time. NPA also supported with platforms for patrol. And we had other ingenious strategies that we deployed, including the fact that our intelligence systems came up, whether the NIMASA C4I, Navy Falcon I, C4I or Navy Falcon I, or what they call the NPA C3I. So there were a number of intelligence platforms that help us put an best eye view on what was going on. And so again, with intelligence, with technology, there's nothing.
Because I see a lot of technology you've mentioned here, and I'm also trying to understand why there was a drop in 2021, and I said, couldn't this have been COVID? Perhaps COVID-19 came.
There was COVID in 2020. 2020 was the peak of COVID. And we didn't notice
and the bad guys
significant drop.
And the bad guys didn't see a lot of activities, around the Gulf of Guinea, because business was at a lull. And perhaps, maybe now that some form of business is going on, we need to test this, especially the Deep Blue project. The C4I has been there, but we need to also test some of these things you've highlighted to see how well Nigeria has been able to, bring this to play. But quickly, let's speak more about, your activities in the maritime sector. I know you're so deeply involved in the Deep Blue project, and recently you had a webinar or like a Zoom, meeting in Nigeria where, people came together to talk about this, and you've also written a book. Now, tell us, away from all of this, what are those things that Africans should worry about around this region? Because we have a lot to deal with. You just enumerated the gains, the immense gains in the Gulf of Guinea. You talked about fishing. Fishing is one. And you also talked about, oil that is also there. So we're coming back to how we started this conversation. What are those things the governments, Nigeria and other African countries should also look to plugging in? Because it doesn't look like we already have a watertight security situation. I mean, watertight security in the Gulf of Guinea.
Now, if you ask me, I like to say this. First, I like to say that the concept of blue economy, meaning economic activities that's dependent on the sea, ocean, lakes, is a new frontier of wealth generation and employment creation. Unfortunately, Africa is what is called sea blind. And that means they've not focused on the wealth that can be generated from the sea. They have been fixated about mineral resources and primary agricultural products, export it to Europe, and Europe will process it, send back to us, and will pay a premium for that.
I'm happy you're saying this.
Now, if you talk about the blue economy, we have always had the fishing sector. But I'll tell you the difference between having the traditional fishing sector, traditional shipping sector, traditional, not much of underwater mining that we do here. Now, what the blue economy has done is to integrate this in a sustainable manner so that we place a lot of premium on the environment, sustainability. So for Africans, there's so much unexplored opportunity on sea-based economic activities.
You know, we can't be saying this when we have experts like you
Sea-based economic
on the
activities.
continent.
And I can tell you what's
Yes.
going on. And so the rest of the world is optimizing that opportunity. Africa is blind to the opportunity. Okay, there's always been the issue of the challenge of maritime security. Now there's an improvement in security, at least by the numbers. Why not we organize ourselves and take advantage? We are one of the most endowed continents, or one of the most endowed regions of the world. Just like we have said, in terms of fish stock, in terms of mineral resources, in terms of the fact that, you know, even the aquatic environment itself is unique in many ways.
So how can you help open their eyes?
Now, one of the things we've done is to mount vigorous advocacy to draw attention to the opportunities that lie beneath the waters, in the waters, and above the waters. Recently, a private sector group got me to inaugurate what is called the Blue Economic Group. And their function is to enlighten Africans and Nigerians about the limitless opportunities in the blue economy sector. And I think they're doing a great job.
Because sorry to cut you here. I'll let you continue on that the webinar in Kenya. Because if you aren't here, a lot of people don't even know the immense opportunities there.
I can tell you this. Now let me start from the fishing sector.
And don't forget about the Kenya webinar.
Yes. Now there's a study that shows that the fishing sector in the region can employ as much as 5 million persons. Right now, we have less than 300,000 persons employed in the offshore fishing subsector. Now, we import fish in excess of $1 billion per annum. We were before now net exporters of fish, but that has changed from being net exporters to net importers of fish. Now, in terms of those who are involved in fishing activities offshore, most of them are Asians, not Africans. Africans have less than 15% participation in offshore fishing. Okay, good. There's been a lot of improvement in terms of what they call inland fishing, or now aquatic fishing. No, not the ponds, fish through the ponds. There's been a drastic increase in terms of our activities, in terms of the fishing activities that take place in the inland waters, and in the pond system. And Nigerians are getting more involved in, I don't know the right word for it, especially what they call the catfish and tilapia. Now there's been the tonnage has tripled in the past 10 years, and today we produce so much of catfish that we can even export.
Let's
now
see.
That sector itself can give you minimum of $1 billion. So we have that sector waiting, is an opportunity waiting to be harvested.
That's just fishing.
Yes. Now, what of underwater mining? We're the only continent that is not active in underwater mining. Asians are involved in underwater mining. It's regulated by the International Seabed Authority based in Jamaica. Africans are just not there. There's not one single African contractor. You know, there's a South African firm that's been given license, and so far they've not maximized that opportunity. Now, we have cobalt, we have all sorts of minerals.
I think this conversation, I really hate to cut you, but I think this conversation, we must have a second part, because now you have actually hit it, because on News Central, a lot of viewers from across the continent get to watch this, and you're saying something. By the way, let's quickly talk about the Kenya webinar before you go. You were talking about the Kenya, that you had a webinar in Kenya.
Oh yeah, well, I participated in a number of webinars in Kenya. The Kenya Maritime Authority had 2 webinars, and one of the things they did that is interesting, unique, ingenious, is that they got secondary school students, from different regions in Kenya, to speak to them about opportunities in the blue economy. Now, what they've done is the concept of catch them young. Begin to open their minds, begin to change their orientation and their thinking about opportunities in the blue economy space. That's one unique thing they've done in Kenya. So now you can see these guys begin to prepare as young as they are to be seafarers, to be investors and entrepreneurs in the blue economy space. Now, there are a lot of things there. So that's one unique thing that got me very impressed about what they did in Kenya. Now, the other thing is that they also targeted the female gender. They said, listen, this is not a male-dominated industry. So it seems, but it cannot be an all-male industry. So I participated in those 2 webinars, and I took special note of those developments. One, the fact that they targeted secondary school young children. The other one is that targeted young females, to say, listen, females, don't go with the impression that the maritime space is the exclusive preserve of male. Women, you're welcome. You could be seafarers, you could be captains, you could be port authority managers and all of that.
Well, no doubt we'll have a part 2 of this, Dr. Peterside, but tell me about your book. How's your book doing? You wrote a book. You're everywhere. You're a columnist. You're in the maritime sector weekly. How do you get to write all that weekly? And
I'm producing a second book very soon. All right. No, well, the book is doing well. It's not a book about maritime sector. It's called Strategic Turnaround, as you are aware. It's a book about the reforms we championed in NIMASA, using maritime as an industry of focus. So it's actually a case study of reform of government institution. If you apply the principles, you could reform any institution, any government institution, even private sector institution. So it's doing very well. Our first print was 5,000 copies. I can say to you that it's almost gone. We have just a few copies left. And we've received rare reviews from all parts of the, I'm happy to say that the first day we sent 100 copies to Ghana. The next day, all of them were sold. All 100 copies were sold, and Ghana demanded for more copies. The same in Kenya, and that's our experience in South Africa. What it means is that people are beginning to appreciate the fact that government can be reformed. Things can change in government. You can get government to be more effective, more efficient, if you have the right kind of leadership. The gap all along has been leadership. It's not like government in its nature can be inefficient or must be inefficient.
Let's close with a promise. We'll do a part 2 on this. Deal.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
We'll do a part 2 on this.
Oh, deal.
Thank you very much. It's been an awesome moment with Dr. Dakuku Peterside, former Director General for NIMASA. Many thanks for speaking with us today on the show.
Thank you too, and see you at the next edition.
So we'll take a moment. When we come back, we'll look at on the maritime security here in Nigeria. Join us again. it's our home stretch here on VSA, still talking maritime. And of course, Nigeria's maritime space is one that has, witnessed a lot of losses. And of course, with trillions of dollars in resources still yet to be tapped, it's of utmost necessity that the region and the country is secure. Now, the Nigerian economy has great potential to develop, and there are people of capacity to steer the ship to harbor. We must dig deep and find the peace what is needed. Joining me now is Dr. Ignatus Uche, who is a senior manager security in Nigeria Ports Authority, retired. Good to see you again, Dr. Uche. And yes, great. Yes, I'm happy seeing you again. Quickly here, looking at the industry where you worked back then with the Nigeria Ports Authority, we've seen a point of similarity in your experiences talking with Dakuku Peterside. Now, how does the NPA help in securing Nigerian waterways?
Thank you very much for having me once again. It's been a pleasure joining you. Well, the issue of maritime security is of great concern to us as practitioners and to Nigerian Ports Authority as an establishment. A series of initiatives and measures have been adopted to enhance maritime security. First among you all is the initiative to have what we call the twin card to ensure effective access control of people coming in and going out of the port. We want to ensure that everyone coming in has a legitimate business to do in the port. And that Nigerian Ports Authority has been in the vanguard in ensuring that that goal is achieved, which is also in tandem with the objective of the ISPS code, ensuring that the port industry is void of miscreants and unauthorized people who might, one way or the other, undermine security measures. Not only that, Nigerian Ports Authority have actually collaborated with the Nigerian Navy in ensuring effective patrolling of the economic exclusive zone. We've procured several platforms and patrol boats and then have given them to the Navy. Not only the Navy, even the Marine Police as well. A lot of resources are being expended to ensure effective monitoring of the waterfront. Not only that, we have actually established a lot of trainings and a lot of acquisition of state-of-the-art equipment in mitigating threats that might be coming to the ship through the port or from the port to the ship. So to a large extent, a lot of capacity building has been going on, a lot of gadgets have been procured, collaborations, and intels are being shared among government security agencies in ensuring the security of the port and the maritime at large.
Nigeria has one of the busiest ports, on the continent and has quite a high trade volume. How is the security of vessels and goods managed, looking at all of these pressures on those ports?
Okay, you've rightly noted that our ports are very busy, and managing the security of the ports is not a child's play. In terms of compliance with ISPS code, in ensuring the safety of vessels and that of the port facilities receiving those vessels, the Nigerian Ports Authority has always been on their, on their guard in ensuring that every vessel that calls to the port is in compliance with the ISPS code. There are port facility security officers that board these vessels to ascertain their last port of call and also to ascertain some of the security measures that they have in place and even the security level at which they are coming into the port. And that helps to a large extent in partnering with the ship security officer to see how we can support them, encourage them, and also collaborate with them when there is any issue that borders on security. So that has always been done. And again, the waterfront is constantly being patrolled by the Nigerian Ports Authority security personnel. And before now, we had the boat that also patrols the water to ward off sea robbers, especially when the vessels are batting. That's the time we have the highest time of incidents, because all attention is focusing on batting the vessels, and the miscreants cash in on that opportunity to strike from the seaward to attack vessels, ship stores, and all that. But efforts have been made to deploy armed policemen at the waterfronts to ward off all these miscreants. And also the Marine Police is being partnered with to patrol regularly with Nigerian Ports Authority security personnel to ensure that there is hitch-free operations during discharge of these vessels.
You know, I know you don't speak for the NPA, but you know, once a member is also always a member. Yes, my conversation with Dr. Peterside, Dakuku Peterside, he said something about, you know, some collaboration, some support that NIMASA, you know, was getting from the NPA, and it will mean that we have the Nigerian Navy, the NPA, NIMASA, all, you know, looking at that very big treasure of Nigeria and the continent. Would you say it is enough, or you expect the country to have more eyes on its waterways?
Yes, thank you. I listened passionately to Dr. Dakuku Peterside. He was the chairman of the ICIC and then the MIC committees in terms of ISPS code implementation. And I was privileged to be with him in various fora. Like he rightly said, there has been a lot of collaborations between NPA and the NIMASA, between NPA and the Nigerian Navy, between NPA and the Marine Police. There is also collaboration between NPA and government security agencies. We have what we call Maritime Security Stakeholders Meeting. And now it has been extended to Security Stakeholders Meeting of all security agencies that operate in the port. And all these initiatives are, you know, means and ways of ensuring that everyone that works in the port plays a role in ensuring the safety of the port. We have had these initiatives, but that does not mean that there is no room for more collaborations and more improvement. Okay, so there is need for more improvement, especially with respect to intelligence sharing, which is driving the world today, and also with respect to cyber intelligence security measures. So I think there is need for us to collaborate more.
Well, you know, that collaboration is very key. But again, let's see if we can leave Nigeria for a bit and talk more about collaboration, a collaborative effort between Nigeria and other Gulf of Guinea countries in ensuring better security.
Yes, there has been also some initiatives that are ongoing and that needs to be sustained. You see, the major problem is not the initiatives. The problem is sustenance. That has been the bane of these maritime security challenges. You know, there is what we call the CRIMGO. There is also the Operation 30 Days at Sea. There's also a regional joint collaboration between law enforcement agents in Nigeria, Benin, Ghana, and even Togo. And these are ongoing. But the question is, to what extent are these initiatives being sustained? ECOWAS has actually ventured in ensuring that there is this collaboration also among countries in the ECOWAS sub-region. Then the IMO is encouraging collaboration. IMO is even sending technical aids and all that. So there is need for sustenance, regular sustenance of these collaborations. It's not just a talk short, but we want to see these things in practical terms so that we'll be able to checkmate the activities of miscreants, hoodlums, and sea robbers, as well as pirates in our economic exclusive zones.
You know, some other things for us to also consider, especially coming back to Nigeria, are, communities around some of these paths. We've seen, quite a number of people talk about the activities of pirates, which has hampered a whole lot. The activities of fishing, the activities of, oil exploration and the likes. During your time, were there times where teams were meant to have conversations with communities, especially traditional rulers, to see how these people can also help in securing the national treasures?
Yes, the activities of the host community impacts positively or negatively to the port operations. We have had cases of pockets of threats and challenges from the host communities, probably dictating the pace and requiring some certain conditions to be met before vessels will be allowed to discharge. But Nigerian Ports Authority has established what we call regular CRS as corporate social responsibility, CSR, corporate social responsibilities with the host community. And every port manager that comes in pays a host to the traditional leader of the port where he operates, is going to operate. So there has been that collaboration. Many times, a lot of social services are provided, trainings are given to the host communities, all in the bid of trying to have them in to buy into our security systems. But suffice to say that there is still need for more collaboration with the heads of these communities, especially the youth leaders, in ensuring that vessels coming through these regions do not suffer untold hardship from the host communities.
Let me close with, people like yourself. Yes, retired, but it doesn't look like you're tired to work. So, shouldn't the government and agencies be reaching out to some people with some requisite, experience and knowledge on security around the maritime sector to also plug in to the, efforts so far?
Thank you very much. I have actually advocated for this in various fora. The Nigerian Ports Authority spent enormous money on training their personnel. I was a beneficiary in all parts of the globe. I was sent to Israel, was sent to Sweden, I've been to Dubai, I've been to US, I've been to Britain, all on their sponsorship, on security training. And now I've retired and I've gone with all the knowledge and all the investment that was made on me. And I don't know, what happens in other clients, like we have advocated, is that there are think tanks and people that can be used to improve maritime security. That is like it is done in the United States. In the United States, the people that makes up the Homeland Security are retired personnel that, have all the expertise, the experience, the knowledge, and the qualifications and certifications that are required to make a difference in the security service delivery. But look at people like Peterside today. They've gone with all the knowledge they have acquired while in the industry. So I think there is need for the government to look inward. We have a lot of, people that have what it takes to make the difference. But when they retire and they go into their hideout, and that will be all. And the government suffers for it. And a lot of money has been spent in the capacity development of these people. So I think there is need for us to begin to talk about having a homeland security that will comprise of all retired personnel, even serving personnel, so that in terms of research, in terms of finding out best practices and bringing out their wealth of experience.
No doubt, Dr. Uche, it's something that we must, it's a line that countries on the continent, Nigeria inclusive, must pursue. We'd like to thank you for your time, Dr. Ignatus Uche. Always a pleasure speaking with you. And of course, the Nigerian maritime space needs harbor, and it's time the government made one. How we can make one is why we've chosen this hardly discussed but important topic. But as Dr. Dakuku Peterside has promised, we'll come back, revisit this some other time very soon. See you there.